Now you have the WTA finals ongoing, and world number one Iga Swiatek was in action this morning and was able to win a match against Daria Kasatkina in straight sets 6-3, 6-2, 6-3. That ended as the Polish number one won a first match of the WTA finals. It also takes a record to 65 wins and 8 losses for this season. Remember, the world number one won 2 Grand Slams, which are the French Open as well as the US Open, as well as 5 other titles in between. It was also a 46th straight win when it comes to straight sets, 46 straight sets win of the season, matching the record set by Agnieszka Radwanska in 2013, although she's 20 matches away from Serena Williams' record, also set in 2013, talking about winning matches in straight sets. She will definitely not meet that of Serena Williams, but she has the chance to, surpass that of Agnieszka Radwanska, talking about the Polish number one right there on your screen. She wasn't the only one in action. You also had Caroline Garcia, that's the French veteran, taking on Coco Gauff, and then for Coco Gauff, it was a chastening loss to Caroline Garcia right there on your screen, talking about Coco Gauff, the American teenager who is making a debut at the season-ending championship. For Caroline Garcia, it was a 6-4, 6-3 straight sets victory over the 18-year-old American tennis star. And you have to look at Coco Gauff's season, where she emerged as, a very formidable player, also making it through to the finals of the French Open, losing that to world number one Swiatek, to understand why it was competitive, especially for Coco Gauff. Well, for Iga Swiatek, world number one, she'll be taking on Carolina Garcia next in the next round of the matches. Let's see how that pans out. Well, let's turn our attentions now to basketball, and it's all about the Brooklyn Nets at this time. Talking about the Kevin Durant-led franchise. They sacked their coach, and over the next 4 or 5 hours after the announcement, they had to take to court. It was a turbulent 16 hours for the Brooklyn Nets after announcing the parting ways of Steve Nash. The franchise is claiming it's on a mutual basis, but insiders within the NBA, within the franchise, have claimed it was a sack. And the man on your screen, Ime Udoka of Boston Celtics, is said to be the replacement coach for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Ime Udoka was the assistant coach to Steve Nash during the 2020-2021 NBA season, so he's someone who is familiar with the franchise. But Ime Udoka, remember, is serving suspension from the Boston Celtics following his illicit affair with a female member of the organization. So it's yet to be seen. There will be talks between both, franchises, that's the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics, regarding a possible move from the Boston Celtics to the Brooklyn Nets. While the Brooklyn Nets had issues to deal with when it comes to administratively, on the court, it was another different ball game as they lost to the Chicago Bulls this time around. That was a straight, it's a blowout loss, you want to call it, as they lost in 100 to 108 to 99 points, as the Chicago Bulls made it happen for them. Kevin Durant top scored for the Nets with 32 points and 9 rebounds, but that wasn't enough. You had Zach LaVine right there on your screen, scoring 29 points, 20 of which came in the fourth quarter as the Bulls pulled away from the Nets. You had DeMar DeRozan contributing 20 points as well, Ayo Dosunmu with 17 points, and Goran Dragic, who played for the Brooklyn Nets last season, contributed 15 points. But it was a terrible night for Kyrie Irving, who was only able to score a meager 4 points all through, despite playing 38 minutes of the game. You had Royce O'Neal with 20 points, a season high, as well as Claxton with 10 points and 10 rebounds, as the Brooklyn Nets succumbed to a loss. And they've started the season with a record of 2 wins and 6 losses, while for the Chicago Bulls, there are 4 wins and 4 losses to the start of the season. Let's still talk about basketball, but this time around the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors, they've also had a terrible start to the season, or to their title defense as it were, and they were in action against the Miami Heat. That was a match they lost as well, despite Steph Curry pouring in a triple-double. It was the Miami Heat who won by 116 to 109 points. Steph Curry scored 23 points, contributed 13 rebounds and 13 assists as well, but that wasn't enough, as you had Max Strus top score for the Chicago Bulls with 24 points. Jimmy Butler contributed 23 points. Bam Adebayo with 19 points, and Kyle Lowry had 13 points, as well as the Miami Heat were able to get one past the Warriors, who had Andrew Wiggins contributing 21 points to Curry's 23, as well as Klay Thompson adding 19 points to 8. So for the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions, there are 3 wins and 5 losses to the start of the season, while for Miami Heat, there are also 3 wins and 5 losses to the start of the season. The Warriors takes on the Orlando Magic next on Thursday, while for the Miami Heat, it will be the Sacramento Kings. They will be taking on later tonight, talking about Wednesday night.
I'd say, Tottenham, I'll say they have been lucky. It's something that have happened for like last 3-4 games.
Yes.
They've always tried to come back in the second half
exactly.
of each of their games. And I'll say against Marcel especially, they've been lucky because Marcel had some very good chances that they actually lost in the first half.
They hit the woodwork.
Yes, see, so they lost these good chances in the first half, which they would have probably buried the game from the first half. But as luck will have it, and as Tottenham will have it, I think I like their fighting spirit, because they never lost faith, even if when they go down, they still pushed forward to try to win, even to the last minute of the game. So you know how much passion they have put into it, how much the way their mentality is very strong. Looking from it's same thing that happened in their game against Bournemouth.
Yes.
A lot of other teams, when the teams beat you 2-0, it's very hard to even get a draw, not talk of win the game. So I think their mentality has really improved, but I think they need to improve on their defense, conceding, always trying to come back.
Okay, talking about Spurs, they lost Son to injury, that head injury. How does this affect their season going forward? Champions League knockout stage is not immediate, but at least the league itself before the World Cup break.
Yes, I think it's going to be a very, very serious issue for them, having lost Richarlison, Kulusevski, and now Son again. So I think it's going to be a serious struggle for them. And I think they have Liverpool coming over to White Hart Lane. So I think it's going to be a struggle for them, but I hope they try and overcome it.
Well, talking about Olympic Marseille, you know quite well that they lost that match as a result of lack of communication. As at the time it was 1-1 going into the very last minute of added time, they were still pouring out, in numbers trying to get the winning goal, forgetting the fact that they simply needed a draw at that time to be able to book at least the Europa League spot, considering the results in the other match. But the coach, screamed on his screamed out of his lungs, trying to, communicate to the players that they needed to just defend in numbers, and that message didn't go through because the rancorous, crowds at the Velodrome quelled the coach's own voice, and as a result, they considered that last-second goal and can't even play Europa League football as they finished the bottom of the group. Well, let's turn our attention to the next match. That's the other group match, and that was quite shocking. Sporting Lisbon against Eintracht Frankfurt. The reverse fixture ended 3-0 as Sporting Lisbon won convincingly right there in Germany. This time around at the comfort of their home in Lisbon, you expected them to at least get a draw against Frankfurt, but that wasn't the case as Frankfurt stunned them, winning by 2-1 to book their place in the next round. This wasn't meant to be. Lisbon won the first 2 games of their group, and they looked like they were going all the way to qualify. But what went wrong, especially in this match, because over the next 4 matches, after starting the group on a high, they were only able to amass just the points over the next 4 matches. So yesterday, what went wrong for Sporting Lisbon?
Well, I think looking at the group generally, when you look at the group before they even started the Champions League, you always say, okay, Sporting Lisbon should probably be the last or the 3rd place.
Exactly.
But they were able to surprise people with their first 2 games. I think there was a time they also comparing them with Club Brugge, having beat everybody's expectation. Yes. So I think they probably lost concentration, I think, or probably they had some players lose form as they shouldn't have, because they even went a goal up in their game against Eintracht Frankfurt. So I don't really know. I think lack of focus, lack of concentration from them really made them lose that game.
Okay, but you think it's a well-deserved one? Frankfurt Spurs.
Yes, Frankfurt has been I would say in their last two games in Champions League, they have really improved. They really improved themselves, and I was actually expecting them to win the game.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, most of the teams and the matches we had yesterday, most teams had already either booked their place into the next round or been demoted to the Europa League. So the likes of Barcelona winning was inconsequential. Bayern Munich keeping a clean slate, making it a clean swipe at all other teams in that group. 6 matches, 6 wins, 2-0 over Inter Milan. Again, inconsequential. Liverpool defeating Napoli. Do not forget Liverpool had also qualified. But a team that lost, surprisingly, was Atletico Madrid. Now, Atletico Madrid needed to at least get a draw against Porto right there in Portugal to book their place in the Europa League, but they couldn't. I'll give you an explanation to that later on in terms of why they didn't qualify despite, the standings of the table, as it were. But the big question is, what exactly is wrong with Atletico Madrid this season? They've won just 4 of their last 12 games, and in the UEFA Champions League, this is the first time during the Diego Simeone era since 2010 that they finished bottom of the table, as well as failing to qualify for the next round. What is wrong? Is this like an end of the circle? There are already talks of probably, Simeone should be sacked. That's still third on the La Liga standings, 9 points behind leaders Real Madrid. But on the continental stage, it was a disastrous campaign.
I think for Atletico Madrid, even in the league they have been really struggling.
Yes,
you would know, but I think with the kind of way La Liga is always, it's always Madrid, Barca, and Atletico.
Then others.
Then others. So you would, you wouldn't really know if they are really struggling if you are just trying to look at the
La Liga standings.
League standings. Yeah. But they have been, even in their games, struggling to win the La Liga game. Some of the games that they will easily win, and they have been really struggling to win those games. Now you could see it in the Champions League. Their defense have, Diego Simeone's team has been a model over the years, as having the standard defense of
how to defend.
To defend. They have been very, very good in defense, conceding a very low amount of goals.
Look at the man's eyes. I mean, he was literally crying yesterday.
I don't know. I think it's a kind of phase that probably they will have to move on with another coach. There's some times in a team where a coach tries all he can, and still there's no change. Probably they need a bit of fresh air. So they need a new coach, a new tactics, and all these things will really improve them, because they have really considered a lot. Coming from last season, they have really considered a lot of goals compared to the Atletico we have known from time.
Okay. Well, for Atletico Madrid, it's difficult, to sever the relationship or the ties, as they were, with Diego Simeone, because he's a club legend. During his playing days, he was highly revered by the fans. As I said, a club legend as a player and even as a coach. He has won literally everything with, Atletico Madrid. The only trophy he hasn't won with them is the UEFA Champions League. And remember, he came so close to winning twice. In 2014, they were just about 30 seconds away from lifting the trophy before Sergio Ramos scored that equalizer to send it into extra time, and Real Madrid prevailed by 4-1. That was what brought the La Decima during Carlo Ancelotti's first stint with Real Madrid. The second one was 2 years later, 2016, and they lost the Champions League on penalties, which, could always go either way. So it's very close. He's won the Europa League twice. He's won the Spanish La Liga title twice, Copa del Rey title. He's won it all. Probably it's time to say, Diego Simeone, thank you so much. Let's move on.